Come to the bed.
Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, and, well, whatever you feel like you're doing and are tonight, no judgment here, except for the person that will be under severe judgment tonight. And I'm talking about our good friend, Mr. Sparky Wood. All right? This gentleman,
Hey.
Ray, this gentleman, Ray,
Yeah.
has chosen to spend his evening with us, right? Talk about his lawn. He is in the upstate
It is my
nether
honor.
regions of New York, in the state of New York, not the like. We're not talking like White Plains, Yonkers, and all that stuff on the north side of the city. We're talking
no,
about
that's not upstate.
the upper part of the state, right? So, upstate, best state. We do know we have quite a few people that we know from that area, right? So we know.
Yes, we do.
It's
our
crazy
good
because
friend-
I never hear you guys talk about it.
Yeah, so we have a good friend, Kevin Shepard. He's up there in Rochester. So I don't
Hi.
have any of the merch right now, but iwantfeature.com, a good friend of ours. And there's a couple other folks up there too, I want to say. But anyway, regardless, listen, you're here. You are the representative. You are the distinguished gentleman from New York who we'll be speaking with tonight, and we are so honored and grateful to have you. Matt currently is on his way home from work right now, so he's got probably about a 90-minute commute. So he's probably going to be watching us on the tubes in the car while driving. So he's probably not going to participate in this chat, but he likely will be here for the after show. And if you don't know about the after show, the best way to find out, check that out. Go ahead and check us out, www.patreon.com/burn-a-return. You can go on there, click become a member, and you get exclusive after show content on this show and also our podcast known as Burn a Return, which tapes on Sunday night, drops every week on Wednesday, except for our Patreon members who get it right after the show on Sunday night. So, without further ado, Ray, are you excited to talk about Cool Season Grass? Because it's been a minute since we had a Cool Season DIYer on here, and I always love Cool Season Grass.
Yeah, I'm excited too. And for me, I get to live vicariously through all of the Cool Season guys.
I'm telling you now. Listen, go ahead.
Hey, you have some great advice, Ray. I've heard some of your advice. It's dead on.
I get to live vicariously because for me, to be honest with you, should I ever be transported north of the Mason-Dixon line, my dream lawn would be either bent grass or low-cut Kentucky bluegrass.
All right, we're working with something here now. What that would be that
I would love to do low cut. I would love it.
Oh, we're gonna talk about you and your low cut. Don't you worry. But
I was waiting for it. I knew it.
Listen, okay, I'm here to enable everybody, right? To take you to where your wildest dreams are, right? And make you take one more hit and go past that and get just a little bit higher. That's what I'm here to do, right? So,
okay, I'm not sure if my wife would agree, but she's like, she'll be like, "Why are you out? Why are you still out mowing? It's been 4 hours. What are you doing?"
Oh, well, listen. A labor of love, all that kind of stuff. There are far less healthy habits that you could have in your life than taking care of your lawn. I would tell her that back, right? The fair thing to say. Now, Ray, what you didn't know is that, Jesse and I have planned a little intervention here. We're, just as I am about to try and convince some of our good friends in the northern half of the country to grow Bermuda here in the very near future. I want you to FAFO, man. I want you to just. I'm going to send you.
I did it all last year.
I'm going to send you some bluegrass seed, and you can just grow it in Hawaii. It'll be fun. It'll be great. All right, so we're planting that seed in your head now.
Yeah, you know what? Because
do some blue
for a while.
Yes. See?
No. I toyed with the idea of
blue joyza
tolerant.
Blue joyza. Oh God.
Oh, please don't. I mean,
it's like having bluegrass in fescue. It just looks awful.
Yeah.
Because Zoysia's kind of my nightmare. I mean, Zoysia's kind of my nightmare grass, actually.
Yeah. And Zoysia and fine fescue. That's the one that we'll have to really go icing on the cake.
Fine fescue. It actually it goes in well with.
Yeah.
It
goes in well with what?
In the right place
with bluegrass.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You can make it
bluegrass, some perennial rye. It fits right in. You can't even tell.
That's what I want to do.
Super thin. Then you kind of notice, but you hope it eventually blends in.
Yeah, there's some texture issues there and some herbicide issues. We had that discussion with somebody. I can't remember who that was, Ray. Not too long ago, but in any event, all right. Hey, listen.
It didn't seem to mind my mesotrione that I put down.
Okay, all right.
I was surprised. Didn't even mind it. Didn't even flinch.
So it was okay with it.
Let's back this up and let's talk about. Let's give you the interview question. All right. So somehow, in some way, shape, or form of the universe, you've ended up on the show tonight because clearly, in at least the space of lawn care, at least in the case of lawn care, you are a degenerate, just like us. And I know
Pretty
that
much.
you have loved ones watching, and I don't mean that in real life. I just mean when it comes to this stuff, you've clearly devolved down to a level where only the most insane people will cohabitate. So, with that being said, how did you get here? Like, what was the journey from I'm a person that, a regular person growing up, and were you taking care of the lawn back then? And then now you are full fledged, like you've done a renovation, you got this big yard. Like,
Yep.
what is going on and how do we get here?
So that's an excellent question. I love it. I've been listening to you, RK and RD, and on the podcasts. Originally, I started
Mm-hmm.
with Ryan Knorr, and then I worked my way over to the Grass Factor, um, and I worked around. The Green Doc. I haven't watched his show
Mm-hmm.
yet, but I'm sure I will soon.
Yeah.
I've watched some Aussies, and I've been getting around. I love Bermuda. I love looking at it. I'm so scared to put it out because there's so much ryegrass out here. It's just gonna croak.
Yeah. It's
There's just so much.
that we'll get there. We'll get there on the Bermuda in upstate New York.
You know what?
I promise.
I'll do a sand pit out back, and we'll put some Bermuda in, and we'll see what happens.
I got somebody doing that here in far northern Ohio, and we'll see what happens this year. But yeah, I think
might work.
I think what I'll probably do, Ray, when I
Except for
become
when it's like
independent,
-40.
that's okay because you know why I think it would work in your area, right? Because
The snow.
yes, you get
Yep.
60 plus inches of snow a year, and that is a hell of a insulator. And so I think there's a chance there. The only thing that would be detrimental would be if that snow starts to melt midwinter when you get a little bit of a thaw, then you get an ice layer under there, and then you
Dude,
run into
this year
yeah.
was crazy
Yeah.
for snow. Was absolutely
Mhm.
crazy. We didn't have snow on Christmas, or we had like a small dusting on Christmas. It was insane
Really?
this year. Yeah.
Huh.
And then we
No,
just got all our snow within like 2 months, and it was like now it's gone as of like last month. So,
yeah, that's kind of what we experienced here in Ohio, not to the same degree of what lake effect snow in western and northern New York is like, but I get what you're saying 100%. So okay, so
Yeah.
you kind of have moved your way and bounced your way through the tubes, and at what point did you go out and look at your lawn and were like, like I don't like the way that looks? Like,
so
what got you
so
to
it,
that point, and like take us through that process of you get started, right, and what happens?
so the big issue was I started watching Ryan Knorr, and he gives all this great advice and everything like that, and I'm out there on I had like a small Craftsman, and it wouldn't cut evenly. It was driving me nuts. So I mowed a little bit higher. I flattened one of the tires on one side because it didn't level.
That's
Like a
ingenious, by the way.
redneck that wants it level.
Yeah.
Um, so I went out there, mowed a little bit higher. Went a little bit higher, and then eventually I just said, gotta bite the bullet. Bought my Toro, um,
Mm,
Toro 50-inch with the My Ride. Yeah,
okay.
this was
Yeah.
so there's a Craftsman right behind it. Um,
Look at that. Look at that beast back there. That tractor back there is probably worth like double whatever it was paid for back in the day. Like the thing
oh yeah,
is.
and we sold it for half of what it was worth at the time because
Oh,
I wanted it
really?
gone, and I didn't. Yeah, I was.
Oh.
It's a sore subject. I don't want to get into it too
All
much.
right. All right. All right. Well,
Okay.
And as you can
so
see, I have lots of projects going on, so you can see all the mess right there, and
that's not
it's
messy.
always work in
Trust
progress.
me. We see some
This is
messy
actually.
gardens.
Well, yeah, there's that. So this is actually over a year old. It's completely different now, but this is the one I found. So I was like, I'll send it out. So it works. The time cutter there works great. I
Mm-hmm.
bought it. I bought it at like 3.5 grand. I think it's at like
Mm-hmm.
4.5 now because of inflation and
Oh yeah.
everything.
The Toro
It's
stuff is
insane.
all gone.
It,
Gone
All the way up.
nuts. Yeah.
through
All
the
the way
roof.
up.
Toro's gone crazy.
So
So,
tell me about this My Ride thing, because I mean that
so
looks like
it's
an ingenious thing, and I never see that on a commercial mower. So what is that?
well,
Does that
Toro
really help?
actually Corey actually has it on some of their commercial lineups now. So I
Interesting.
think it's their lower end. So if you actually have a nice lawn, you probably don't need it. If you have a nicely smoothed lawn, our lawn is not smooth at all. I'm gonna have to roll that thing every week until it's smooth. Basically, there's some pretty big dips. I might have to do another renovation to get it smoother. But oh, here we go. Here's an old picture of it.
Oh wow!
Um,
Oh wow!
so
Look at that.
so this leads me into what I did. Okay, here we go. So last year I did a full renovation. Well, not a full, partial renovation. Let's be correct here. So I did. It started with a couple post emergent applications, some weed and feeds. Started there, and then I worked my way into some crossbow. Later in the year, I was laying down lots of applications. I was mowing like crazy. Lots of applications in the spring, in the summer, and eventually I did some crossbow with a. Get this right. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
I did a foliar application of crossbow where you with the hose end sprayer. If you read the directions, that's not recommended.
Yeah,
And
because
I did it over 4,000 square feet because I was moving along at 1 ounce, and I moved along, and I was like, I'm almost gone. Maybe I should lower it a little bit, and I lowered it, and I kept going, and I was like, okay, this is still bad. This is still bad, and I didn't realize it, but I also did it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon with the sun beating down on it.
Whoa. Okay. Okay. Quick question.
Yep.
How well did the neighboring trees love that?
There was no neighboring trees. I mean, not really.
No, because the only reason why I ask is because the vapors coming off of a crossbow application
Yep.
will do as much or more damage than spray drift.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I have like firsthand experience with what happens when a herbicide volatilizes or vaporizes. And you think that, oh, you're okay because it's not windy, you don't see any spray drift, and you come back a week later and everything
Yep.
around that site is curling up and dropping leaves.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And that's because
I noticed it next day, Ray.
oh yeah, well
Mostly it was just the lawn. Luckily it was just the lawn and the
yeah,
Nimblewell there that you saw in that picture.
yeah,
It's
well,
great for
and the
Nimblewell.
thing
If
is,
you're gonna want to kill Nimblewell, go right ahead, spray as much crossbow on there with a hose end sprayer, it'll die, I promise.
yeah, of course, because Nimblewill is a weak grassy weed, so yeah, too much crossbow will probably do the job on it, but
Yep.
what
It's
I'm
all gone.
saying
It
is
looks
that
great now.
yeah, that similarly, if you do it at the wrong time though and under the wrong
Yep.
circumstances,
Yep.
man, you can wipe out an entire neighborhood. You can wipe out an entire neighborhood, and
Luckily I did it.
fortunately,
It was 2 o'clock in the afternoon and it wasn't too hot. I think it was only 80.
only 80. Okay, okay, that would be your saving grace
Yep.
because
I feel like that definitely saved me.
yeah, because my experience with a herbicide vaporizing happened on a day when it was like 90,
Oof.
humid,
Yep.
and windless, and safe to say I made a tree get naked.
Instantly or like
And
next
not
day? What are we talking here?
next day. Next
I
day,
mean, I'm
all the
sure they
leaves.
normally just get naked for you, but
No. You see, stuff don't strip for Ray. Stuff doesn't
that's not what
strip for
Sheila
Ray.
said.
That doesn't.
That's right, Sheila. Listen, it's only after a non-injury accident, right? That happens, right? To settle up, right? No need,
Yeah.
no need to worry about deductibles. We'll just, we'll keep it on the up and up here. So, all right.
So-
What? Yeah.
I could keep going, man. I didn't finish my entire
ahead, yeah.
story of last year.
Oh, go ahead,
It gets
go.
even
Sorry.
sparkier.
Okay. Sparky,
So
did you just make your name a verb, or?
I
Yes,
did.
he did. He sure did.
Wow.
Take it in. Take it in.
I'm taking it in. It's always interesting when somebody makes their name a different part of speech than what it actually is of a noun. So, but I applaud the effort. I'm not mad. I'm just trying to take it out. Sparky, trying to figure out where and how we can use that somewhere else in the show. So I will figure out a way to weave that in later on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you what happened. So at the end of last year, it was starting to go. Things were starting to go dormant. I have a lot of hostas do not too wordy. Actually, the hostas were in the back, so we're good. Um, so I did a final application of triclopyr at the end of the year when everything was starting to go dormant. It was around October. It was still pretty warm, so a lot of the stuff did absorb it. I had a lot of broadleaf weeds, so it was perfect for that. So I had a lot of creeping Charlie, and a lot of broadleaf plantains. And I did
Hey.
double
Ooh,
the
wow.
rate. I did double the rate because I knew it was going dormant. So I only had one application to get it in, and I did double the rate. Oh yeah,
Wow.
that's actually a different story about that. We can get to that too. So that's
Oh my God.
that's a completely different story. We can talk about that too. But I did a final application at the end of the year and did double the rate, and so they suggested 4 ounces per 1,000. So I did 8,000 or 8 ounces per 1,000. What
was
it
this?
ended
Which
up being?
herbicide?
Just triclopyr. It was
Oh boy.
a Bayer
Oh.
triclopyr in it.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
it was double.
Was that the ortho chickweed and clover killer? Was it that stuff? Because I think, if I'm not
No.
mistaken, or was it the Bayer brush and poison ivy killer?
Yes, the tough brush. Yes.
Oh,
brush.
8%. Okay, and Ryan, that stuff is 8% triclopyr amine. So it's pretty mild, but even at that, that will do the job on stuff because of the triclopyr. It will burn shit.
Oh yeah.
It'll
And
burn
did
shit down.
so at the end of actually that brings me to the other topic there. I did like a partial innervation after I killed it with the crossbow. I went through, scalped the yard, got all the clippings up, went through, put some turf blue pro on it from Barnbrug, and then put some perennial ryegrass, the Parkside, just mixed it in there. And it came out well. And it all looks good. And then I go through and I spray this triclopyr on it, double the rate. And actually, it was probably way over. They recommended 4 ounces per gallon. I did 8 ounces per gallon. It was 32-ounce thing, so I threw it in. I was like, okay, so I have to walk pretty fast. I normally walk pretty gosh darn fast. I want to do an entire blanket application. I ended up doing 128 ounces in about 13,000 square feet.
Bro.
I
what are you spraying
I'm
this
not.
out of? What are you spraying this out of?
Oh, my chaplain, the 20.
Chapin, yeah.
Yep, the 20 volt. I may have actually sent it. It's
okay.
You did not, but I
It might be
got
in the-
this.
We got a link.
Yeah, there's
In
some
the
of it.
description below.
But it
Oh, that
does.
guy.
I do have a 20-ounce chaplain. I bought it at Walmart, half off. So good deal.
Look at
there.
that.
I did not have
Half
a fan
off.
tip nozzle on. Look at that. There it is.
That's pretty good.
You didn't have a fan nozzle on it, so you just
Yep.
basically sprayed first and asked questions later. God.
It was fine because guess what? The KBG was just about out. It was just about dormant. And you can tell where I sprayed a little extra in spots because that KBG was gone. And so were the weeds. But the good news is, Ray said, and I listened to this, and he's absolutely 100% right. It came back. It came back. So you can spray a little extra, and it'll come back.
It depends on the time of the year, but you were fortunate, I think, on the timing and everything like that. All right, real quick, let's back up the truck for just 1 second. All right.
Okay.
This sprayer, when did you get it? Because you got a great deal on it, by the way. It's $200. I just looked it up. $210 for that right now.
Oh yeah,
What I'm seeing.
Yep. So I got it at
how long
Walmart.
Did you get that?
So FYI, at the end of the season, right around September, October, you can get a bunch of deals on seed and sprayers sometimes. If they're trying to get rid of it. No, you can't. Yeah, no, I did, man. I got 300 pounds of the Pro Mix. It's the green bag at Walmart. I forget what it's called. I forget the name brand, but it's a green bag, green and black. It's Pro Mix. It has KBG in it. So some rhythms, some Boreal, some other a bunch of perennial ryegrasses, medium to fine blade types, which is perfect. I love the look of that. So I got close to 300 pounds or more than 300 pounds. It was $5 a bag, originally 30. 0% weed seed in it.
Wow.
Yeah, I was pretty happy about it considering the barn brush.
$5 a bag?
Yeah, buddy. It was expired. It was expired, but only by like a month. Only a month. Only a month. It still works. It works great.
That's what we what we need. We need that section of Walmart where there's just bags of stuff that's unmarked, like the canned goods that the label falls off on, and you buy them for like 10 cents. You have no idea what's in them. That's what we need in turf. We need the scratch and dent bin of turf.
I'm telling you.
And they just
out in the middle of nowhere, man. You can find these deals.
I believe it. And I'm saying that's what we need. Somebody set this up. That's listening. That's
not telling anybody where I got it.
Scratchanddentturf.com. You pay $5 for each item, and you have no idea what you're going to get. It's not going to have any label with it. You're just going to have to figure that shit out.
Geez, I hope it's not like mixed seed or something.
Who knows, man? I mean, it could be.
Who knows? Yeah, anything's possible.
I'm not getting that spicy or Sparky,
Somebody would be into that, I'm sure. So, okay, on the sprayer, let's talk about calibration real quick because I
did get a fan tip for it.
Went wrong.
I got a fan tip
what
for
kind
it.
Of
no worries. So I bought a fan tip off Do My Own. It works great. I love it.
Okay.
I'm getting the spraying pattern. It looks correct. And actually, I just sprayed with it again last week. I also did a built for seeding mesotrione to the label on the entire yard. Some spots looked a little shocked. Some of the KBG looked a little shocked. It looks like I wasn't perfect on my application. I did 3. So I went crossways one way, crossways the other way, and then I came back really quickly the other way because I noticed I had a lot left over. And I was like, I just gotta get it out there. I gotta get out there somewhat evenly. So I was doing a jog, but I got it out there. It's okay. It's coming back. It's okay.
All right, let's talk about calibration. We gotta talk. I can't. We shall not.
I thought I had it right on the sideline. Okay, I thought I had it right.
Hey, listen. This is the. Are you a sports fan at all, Sparky?
Huge sports fan. I'm a Chiefs
all right.
fan.
What's your favorite sports favorite team?
Kansas City Chiefs football.
Kansas City Chiefs. All right. You are Patty Mahomes. All right.
Okay.
And you were supposed to run a simple play, right? Supposed to bootleg out to the right, just like you're supposed to do, except for you Did not see that defender, that safety creeping up over the top. You threw the post, and this guy stepped in front of it. And not only did you throw a pick, but this guy dump trucked your ass into the ground on the way to the end zone. All right, so now, hey, I'm Andy Reid. I'm about Andy's size, so I can say this. He's got a better duster than I do, but hey, we all live
You
for
can work
one
on it.
purpose, and
You can do it. Let's see it next show.
I don't think I'm never gonna have a good push broom. It's just not in my style. I got thin facial hair. It's just not. It's not gonna
Me
work.
too.
I'll
This is all I
put
can grow.
some. I'm working on it. I'm trying to get.
This is a week's worth, right? This is a week's worth, buddy.
Yeah, this is a lifetime's worth. I'm 38 years old, and this is the best I can do right here. But
Well, gee,
So-
this I had to just mow down this morning. God.
yeah, Ray, you just need to dirt that shit, and it'll come back strong. I have no doubt about it. All right, so I'm Andy Reid, and you've thrown the pick by twice now, just screwing up your calibration. So I'm here to help you, right? I can sit here and chew your ass and grab you by the face mask on the sideline, or I can help you go out and throw a touchdown on the next pass. All right. So here's the deal.
I'm usually
have got
so one of the problems was it was a very small particle size, and I'm used to a bigger particle size. So it was probably like an SGN like 80 or something.
Oh, this is
It was-
you were pushing this. Okay. I thought this
Oh,
was
yeah.
the sprayer. I'm sorry.
No,
Okay.
no, sir.
Still the spreader. We're going to calibrate this one too. All right.
Usually
We
I'm
gotta
a little
figure-
bit better. I'm better with my fertilizer applications because the particle size on those are usually pretty standard. Usually, I don't know the actual SGN, but they're usually pretty standard. But the built for
Yeah.
seeding, Scott's built for seeding was extremely small. I was
Yeah, it's like an
absolutely
100
floored.
SGM.
Super duper small.
Yeah.
At least to me, anyways.
Well, usually, Scott's stuff to me comes close to a greens grade fertilizer.
yeah, I mean it looks
Okay.
damn near close.
Okay.
Well,
But
excuse me.
what that means is that then that lends itself to you narrowing down the opening on the spreader.
Yep.
And
I did that.
And just kind of
Not quite enough.
just kind of take
Clearly.
yeah, but just kind of take it easy and put it out there. But the flip side of that is that at least you're not trying to spread something that has particles the size of water softener salt.
Yeah, that would be bad. That
Have you
would
done
be
that before?
We've all done shameful things, Sparky. We don't want to talk about, right? But anyway, no. So listen, Ray, explain the importance of calibrating our equipment, and let's just start with spreaders, and then we can move on to sprayers. But just a quick minute on each on the how and the why it's so important.
Yeah. Well, calibration is all about knowing how much your equipment is going to put down over a given area. And for me, what I always like to do is calibrate stuff so that I don't have to be hustling or hauling ass when I'm putting it out there. I mean, I like basically to be able to do a slow old man's walk and still nail, my application rate. And so typically the way I get that done is I mark off an area, say 1,000 square feet. And I set up the equipment to what I think will get me close to that, amount of material that I want to apply per 1,000 square foot. I do the test run, see how it goes, and if I'm close, excellent. If I'm not close, I know I either need to adjust upward or downward. And okay, by the way, if you're doing this with a granule spreader, highly recommended that you change test plots after one run, because you don't want to be double dosing that 1,000 square foot test patch.
I must say, Ray, I did my side yard, and I started at
Mm-hmm.
a rate that's usually normal for a bigger grain size. So I started with it at like
Mm-hmm.
a 17 or an 18 on my spreader
Mm-hmm.
there. It came out, and I was like, oh geez, a quarter of it's gone. I got to go way down. So I went down to
Mm-hmm.
like way lower than I've ever gone, and then it looked pretty good. It wasn't quite perfect, as I can now tell on my lawn. Some of the KBG looks a little upset and white, but it's not perfect. I'm not perfect, but I'm getting there. I mean, that SGN size is tricky. I didn't see it coming. Smacked me in the face. Smacked my lawn in the face.
Well, I mean,
So a little bit, not bad.
but then, but
It grew out of
then
it.
that too is kind of why, in a lot of cases, we tend not to like to do a lot of stuff through granules, especially not products where application rate or application uniformity is like the make or break for the application. We just rather do an actual liquid spray because with a liquid spray, you're not dealing with varying particle sizes, varying particle densities. It's all okay. You set up your fan tip and you make like you're painting a floor or a wall. And
Yep.
by the way, I find that the easiest guys for me to teach how to spray a lawn are these boys that, for example, have experienced painting cars or painting houses.
Yep.
Because then I can tell them this is almost like you working the paint gun in that you want to lay down an even application without any excessive overlap. Where in the case of the paint, you overlap too much, that's going to turn into a drip or a run. You overlap too much on the grass, that turns into an area where the grass is a bit overdosed, and you may see a little bit of damage from the herbicide application. But likewise, when you have a liquid application, it's a lot easier in most cases because me personally,
Yep.
I don't fool around with herbicides or fungicides on granules. I just don't do it.
Well, I must say it worked pretty well on the dandelions and some of the. It looks like maybe hennebit's coming up or something like that.
Hmm.
It's a
Hmm.
three leaf weed, some kind of 3 leaf weed.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
killing it pretty good. That might
Hmm.
also be from the seed because the seed, surprisingly, this expensive seed, the Barenbrug seed has 0.01% weed seed.
Yes, it's
Surprisingly.
not perfect. Not
Why
perfect.
is that? I the cheap stuff at Walmart, man, has 0.00% weed seed, and I buy this more expensive stuff and it has it in it. What why would that be?
Well, my guess is that as far as I know, uh, in a big field, quite possible for them to have a weed problem. They might have a weed problem. I mean, that's just how it goes, and
Yeah, and
because
I'm guessing it just
Barenbrug,
doesn't get filtered out by the air,
well,
because a lot of
yeah,
them, they go through like an air process. They go through a whole.
yeah, like
Some
a
of you probably
flotation,
probably watched it.
like a flotation process where there's air operated separation equipment that basically stratifies the seed in a way that weed seeds are of a different density versus the grass seeds. So then theoretically, that's supposed to be blown away or drop out of the airstream. But then, well, nothing's perfect. Nothing's
Right.
perfect. And so you can have that.
Yeah, I'm guessing it reduces the callbacks of, "Hey, I had some weeds in this grass seed. What the hell's going on?" Well, it says in the bag 0.01% grass seed. So it
However,
probably stops a lot of those calls.
for me, especially when you're seeding a cool season grass, you have certain outs regarding your weed control at time of seeding. And I know you can't do this in the state of New York, but I know in most other states, you can do something at time of seeding that kind of removes a lot of the weed competition during seed emergence.
Is it that mesotrione application? Because I did that.
No, no, it's called quinclorac.
Oh, yes. Yes. That's also a
Yeah,
pre-emergent,
and I
isn't it? Will it stop the seed from
okay,
germinating?
it sure will. It sure
No.
will. But I also know
Mm,
New York New
that's
York state law in that technically quinclorac applications in the state of New York are number one, limited to certified applicators, and those certified applicators may only make applications to individual weeds.
Interesting. Didn't know that.
Oh, that's New York State's regulations regarding usage of quinclorac, because New York State considers quinclorac a water pollutant.
Does it
no.
work like it does in Hawaii where if I'm not getting paid, I can spray it?
No,
Nope.
Dang it.
Gotta be a
no,
licensed applicator
Dang it.
in New York State.
no,
New York State
no,
is
and
one of the more stringent states in America when it comes to pesticide registration, application requirements, and stuff they just won't allow. And especially like when you get down towards Long Island, Suffolk County, like it gets real
Mhm.
intense. So
well,
it's unfortunate,
yeah,
but
don't play around with that, because in the case of Hawaii, thanks to past contamination incidents, basically there's a long list of things that I will never see in this state. Yeah.
so
Like what?
the we. Oh, go ahead, Ray. What do you? What? All right, I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna ask it this way, Ray. If you could have one thing that you don't have access to right now, chemical wise, what would it be?
Mm-hmm.
If you were governor of
Ron
Hawaii
Star?
for a day.
Aciliprin.
Oh, that's an easy one. That's too easy.
Aciliprin. And do
Of
you know
all the
why
stuff,
I would want
why?
do you know why I'd want the aciliprin?
What's that?
That would stop the armyworm and the sod webworm, and it'll
Yeah,
do it in a very environmentally friendly manner compared to how I do it right now.
So that brings in a huge question from me and probably some other New Yorkers and Pennsylvania people. Army worms.
Mhm. Yeah.
Should we be worried about them? I haven't seen them, but
You're not gonna see him right now.
well, no,
You're
no,
not
no,
gonna
of
see
course
'em
not
right
right now,
now.
but
Okay, just making sure.
should we be worried about them this year? I've been seeing lots
Well,
of news articles saying they're coming, they're on their way, they're in New York.
it depends on who you listen to as far as
They might be
entomologists out
exaggerating.
there. I don't think anybody really knows. I think that's sort of the thing is that in classic cases like this where there's been a huge emergence or vectoring of these armyworms into certain spaces, historically, that the year after traditionally has not been as bad. Well, nobody really knows, what it'll be like over here because, they don't typically populate up here in such great numbers at any given point. So to know how they overwinter in a climate like this, to know, how they'll come out and repopulate coming into this year, it's hard to tell. So that would be the first thing. The second thing is it's so cheap and relatively speaking, so cheap and easy to take care of those issues, right? When it comes to, let me make sure that you have access to this. And I think you do.
Hey, if they don't have access to it, I'm sure Amazon will send it.
Oh, yeah. And that's the thing is I wish, yeah.
Yes and no.
That is tough.
Yes and no. Because
I had something
a lot of
I had something they sent that wasn't legal in the state of New York. and they send it anyways. Luckily, it's limited to indoor applications, so we're good.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
It's a man duo.
Demand
Oh,
duo.
yeah.
Whoo! Yow, that's spicy. And I know that in the state of New York, there is an AI in there that I think is either illegal outdoors in New York, in the state of New York.
Yes. Yep, that's correct.
Yes. And it goes further because I believe in the state of Hawaii, that active ingredient is banned from the entire state.
Yep.
But I don't particularly miss that AI because it's kind of a garbage neonicotinoid.
Yep.
I don't think that highly of it. It's not that great.
I did use it. It does work well on bees that are burrowing into your house. Now you have to be careful. You have to be careful. I did read. You have to be careful on which bees you're spraying because it can spread. So that's why they don't recommend on honeybees, bumblebees, or anything like that. But if you're 100% sure on the thing that you're spraying, we had forget the exact. It's a bee that only attacks spiders. It doesn't pollinate. There's no pollination. It's a mud wasp, I think. I don't know the exact term,
Yeah.
but
Okay. Yeah.
they don't pollinate.
That is they don't pollinate. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah, I think
it's
it's going to be a delicate thing to balance in the state
Yes.
of New York, just because you do not have access to the ideal solution out there from a chemical standpoint, which would be one of the diamide insecticides. So, in the most simplest form, Grubex, right? The most latest form of Grubex, you don't have access to that there. So,
Well, I do see Grubex in the stores, but I don't know
so
if it's the same Grubex.
It's not. It's not. So,
Okay.
hang on. Let me find out.
Ryan,
go ahead.
The Grubex that they currently allow in New York, but I think that is going to end up going away sooner than not, is there's Grubex 1, which is imidacloprid.
Yep.
And then there's
That's
Grubex 2 that has chlorantraniliprole. However, imidacloprid is what I consider very 1990s grub control. It's not that great, and that is why I said that if I had my way, I'd have acelepryn everywhere here in Hawaii, because acelepryn is super on armyworm.
William, that is right. It is mud dauber.
Yep,
that's what
Mud
it is.
dauber.
Mud dauber. Ooh.
It was also William's nickname in college. So
yeah,
fun
they don't really sting humans, at least from what I was reading. So so they're not a huge threat to humans, but they were starting to burrow into the house. So I just couldn't allow it to happen.
Yeah,
but yeah, as far as
understood. Go ahead.
As far as like an insecticide, I do not do any insecticide. I haven't seen too many grubs or enough to warrant an insecticide application.
Yeah, and so that's the thing, is that's the rub there with the armyworms. If you're asking that question, the easy and obvious answer is the active ingredient, the chlorantraniliprole, which Ray mentioned, is not available in New York State because it'll pick up your grubs and it'll pick up your fall armyworms. However, given that you're in New York, you don't have it. So the imidacloprid is just not going to do that. So, I think you're restricted not to C. Let me pull this up, Ray. Bifenthrin, New York? I don't know. Yeah? No? Ray, you happen to know?
I think bifenthrin. Okay, I know a quirk about New York law. Anything that is labeled for control of termites is by default a state of New York restricted use pesticide.
So you can't use it. Let's see here. In New York, so this is turf. It just says golf courses and sod farms, though.
Yeah.
What a bunch of. Yep, turf on golf courses and sod farms here.
It can
See
be
if we can
hard
find
to find
something
a lot
else.
of those laws. It can be really hard.
Well, it's going to be on the
Well,
label. The label is going to dictate
Yes.
where that's going to be. So that's what we're trying to check and see on some of these labels. You know, where they allow you to spray and all that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
let me see here. So you haven't seen a lot of grubs. You're worried. Did you have fall armyworm damage last year? That was another question I had
Nope.
when you brought that up.
Nope,
So you're
nowhere
just-
nearby that I noticed. I just happened to see an
then I think
article
you're gonna
about
be
it.
fine.
The
Oh.
Google algorithm popped up, and I said, oh, "Okay, I'll click it."
listen.
No.
They're just trying.
They're just trying to. They're
That's
just trying to
just-
scare people. You know, drum up views and scare people because fact of
It
the
worked.
matter is the fact of the matter is that I highly doubt that armyworm would make its way all the way up to upstate New York. I highly,
I'd be
I highly
surprised too.
doubt that. Yeah, what you may see is occasional attack by, say, what they call bluegrass sod webworm, but that's very occasional. That's not a very common thing.
What does that look like?
It looks similar to an armyworm. It's one of those striped brown, green, and black caterpillars,
Oh, okay.
and it eats grass. But the thing about that is that that webworm does not exist as like a horde, like how the notorious armyworm, works. Because the thing about armyworm and the reason why they're so bad is because they can literally be like a horde of caterpillars going through an area and just eating everything in their path.
I've seen maybe one or two, but not enough to warrant going out there and doing anything about it.
Sure.
So it's not a big issue.
Sure.
Fungicides,
I mean, and
not a big issue too.
okay,
Yeah,
because
anybody ever tried milk?
Yeah, well, how's your summertime weather up there? Is it pretty mild?
Yeah, pretty mild. So I'm actually out of nearby Morrisville, Morrisville, New York, which is south and east of. What are you laughing about over there?
Me?
Yeah, I see you.
I'm laughing. I'm laughing about. I'm laughing about the fact that in New York summertime, I don't like. I'm curious about this because I've had several people tell me like, "Oh man, like it's way hotter than you think." Like
It can be.
I know the last couple of years you've had some tough summers, but like
It wasn't. It was pretty mild last year. I don't think we got much above 90.
so
Yeah,
how bad
that
is
is-
it then?
that is
like
mild.
what's your biggest challenge? Here's my question: in the summertime, like what's your biggest challenge? That's what I was smiling because I was thinking about next question I was going to ask, and like what is the biggest challenge in the summertime? So if we just take that chunk of June, July, August, what are you like? Man, I got to really watch out for this
Brown patch.
brown patch. Now,
I did-
again, what kind of grasses are we growing here again?
Kentucky bluegrass. Some fine
Okay.
fescues are in there. Some other fescues,
Uh-huh.
I've been pulling them out slowly as I notice them by hand.
Uh huh. Okay.
Some older,
Okay.
really old fescues. They're really wide bladed. I was worried they were a weed and like a wild onion or something like that, or some
It
weird.
turned out-
Yeah, it wasn't. It was just very thick bladed fescue. I mean, we're talking an inch thick, wide leaf blade. So
Yeah,
Ugly.
like K31, something like
maybe even worse.
K31.
Maybe even worse.
Or some old pasture variety. Got it.
Yeah,
got
it was
Mm.
darker, so it kind of blended in. So it's not too bad, but it looks ugly on a fine bladed lawn for the most part. It sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to watch out for that. So
Yeah.
the brown patch issue, what have you done to address that? And
So
what's the
I
what's been
I
the mitigation
watched.
strategy there?
I happened to watch GCI Turf podcast with or not podcast video with Pete in it. Um,
Yep.
yeah, he tried out some milk powder, which
Milk
supposedly
powder.
has yep. It works. It works pretty good. I was actually kind of surprised.
GCI. I
Have
got to
you heard of that,
this
Ray?
video.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
It worked pretty good. I was
I've-
really surprised. I did it as a post application, not a pre. Although I did so when I saw it, I did a pre on the rest of the lawn just in case. And then I did a post on the one spot that had it pretty bad. It came back after a couple weeks, maybe 3 4 weeks. It came back pretty good. You know, you mowed off the dead portion or the dying portion, and it came back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Supposedly, I read a bunch of articles on it. Supposedly, maybe even on Lawn Forum too.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly, it has the what's the word I'm looking for? The insects, not small ant.
Beneficial
Yeah, beneficial to the
microbes.
entire lawn. Yeah, microbes. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
Yep.
yeah,
That's what I'm
so,
here
Yep.
for.
so so you give it some milk, and theoretically that alters the bacterial and fungal balance. You know, I've also heard of supposedly biological fungicides where the idea is that you introduce a competitive fungus or bacteria to the area, and that stops the disease. I know it as this one brand name called Companion, and Companion is just a biological culture that you can apply. However, in real life, under adverse conditions, the biologicals don't just don't perform.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
and
I
They
wouldn't.
just don't
I would.
work.
well, that's
I
what I was
wouldn't say
curious.
it
Is
was.
like what was it something that you were trying to
So
stay away from a traditional fungicide, or was it something that you were just like, well, I saw this and there's nothing wrong with it. It's
yeah,
just like if
yeah.
you saw it and you're like, I'll give this a shot.
Yeah, it wasn't. I wouldn't say it was super effective. I wouldn't say go out and spray it for every single application that you're gonna get brown necrotic ring spot. I wouldn't try it on some of the more um, ferocious funguses that are out there, and it works. It works on a very small area. I sprayed the crap out of it. So I mean, I must have put a gallon of so you mix milk powder in with a gallon of water. It worked okay, and especially because the grass was so long in this one spot, it was probably 8 inches. It was way too long, way too long. It fell over on itself. It happens to be right next to our porch on the front that we enter into the house, and it
Mm-hmm.
comes down in like a valley right next to the porch, which my lawnmower
Ooh,
can't get close enough to mow that, so it tends to get really high, especially if it's even string trim. It's can be hard to get it to work. Hard to get
interesting.
that grass cut.
So what do you
So
do
it
there? Do you have a what's the situation to manage? Like, because that's a kind of an important area, like walking in the house or whatever. So what are you
yeah.
doing in that specific area to try and drill down on that and solve that management challenge?
So it can be difficult. We do once it gets tall enough, you're able to cut it. It's not too bad, but before that, a lot of stuff can happen. It can grow really tall. It can get in your way.
Mm-hmm.
It can create other problems like brown patch.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. So okay, so
Luckily, no
go ahead.
no pythium, no other real diseases.
Okay.
As far as that goes.
So then Okay, so brown patch being the number one big issue in the summertime. I guess so take us down the road there. Now you've got the renter out there. You've got this basically an ammunition dump worth of Walmart liquidation. I'm hearing you driving to the store and on the radio it's Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Everything must go. $5 bags of fucking grass seed. Like it's just I can hear it on the radio playing in the background. But what are you gonna do with all this stuff? Like you got it all now, and it sounds like things are going in a positive direction. But where do you go from here, and how can we help you navigate the path right from A to B?
So I must say, after I did my fall reno there, it dandelions, most of them are dead, most of them are gone. I'm pretty happy with
Good.
that. I must say, one thing I started noticing is that when all the weeds died, I started noticing poa everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So much
Mm-hmm.
poa. And especially with my phosphorus application I had to do because my phosphorus is pretty low. Even I'm not sure if the KBG is really hungry for phosphorus or not,
Do
but
we have a
it,
soil
it's
test?
I have two soil tests actually.
Oh well, hot damn, J Pink, cue 'em up.
So this
I'm
one it's when the microbes were active in the fall. Or yeah. Yep.
which
No,
microbes are we talking about?
this one's from September 2021 here that we're looking at.
Okay,
The first one was from April. So this one's end of last year.
End of last year, and you said the microbes were active. What microbes are we talking about?
Well, it seems for some reason. So I had the previous solo test shows the one I was basing most of my applications off of. This this previous application was pretty. It looked like it was accurate, at least from what I could tell. So it had nitrogen was pretty
Mm-hmm.
high. Um, it did have some phosphorus in it.
Mm-hmm.
Can you go back to the previous one, JPEG?
This
Oh,
is
okay.
April
Okay.
of
I
this
thought,
year.
man, you have got these graphics way too good, J Pink. That was like, I felt I was at the optometrist, and you were switching. Here's number one. There's two, 1 and 2, and the guy. It's like the guy's just sitting there fucking with you because they're the same thing. I swear. There's 1. There's 2. Doc, it looks the same. You got to pick one. 1,
So
or 2,
actually,
2, and 1.
interesting. They're not lined up. So
Okay, so which
soil-
one are we? Let's look at the
So-
21, the oldest one. Can we look at the oldest one first?
that's totally
That's
my
the-
fault, JPink. So the bar graph does not match the one on the right, and that's totally my fault for sending it incorrectly. But
Okay, here we go. 20. Oh, so the data, everything's inverted here, right? So, all right, let me see the raw numbers for the oldest one. Let's start there.
and that one will be more accurate. It'll have lots of highs and lows in there.
All right,
Lots
so
of highs
this
and good.
set of data on the right, if I'm looking at raw soil data,
Yes.
this
Yep.
is the 21
It's the September.
test.
Yep.
Perfect. All right, we're living large. So, all right. And you say that this is accurate in what way? Like
It seems
you're
fairly
just seeing
accurate.
in the lawn, or what you were putting into the lawn
Yeah,
at that
so-
time, or what?
Yep. So I put a bunch of calcium into lawn. As you notice, it's quite high. I put a bunch of calcium in the spring.
Oh, in
and
what form?
Granular.
Oh, okay. So like, was it like a organic fertilizer, or what was the calcium source that you were? Was it just because it was low, or I'm not trying to put you on the
Yeah,
spot. I'm just
well-
trying to.
Well,
Where
I
that
had the
came from.
pH. So I tested the pH before this application, manually with one of like the Lowe's tests. And
Yep,
it seemed pretty
yep.
accurate to the probe that I put in the ground. So based
Okay.
on those two, I did
I
an
gotcha.
approximate valuation of the pH, and I said,
And then
well,
lime.
it seems to be a little low. Let's add some calcium. So I did
Okay.
I want to say 40 pounds. So about 4 pounds per 1,000, something like that. Maybe a little more.
Okay.
Just enough to get it up above. I want to say it was in the low 6s before the application, and then I did the application, and there's still a bunch of calcium, and the pH um, was still, I mean, it was still fairly low. So I bought some extra calcium. I did another soil test for the pH, and it came up a bit. But this soil test was my fall application after I did starter fertilizer, which is interesting because it says the phosphorus is still low.
Mm-hmm.
So that indicates to me
Just,
that
I
maybe
mean, just a bit though. I mean,
I don't
200th of a
understand
point.
how. I don't understand the your results portion. It's not in. Is this in parts per million? I have no idea.
Can I
We
tell
have no
you?
idea
Can I tell you a secret?
No.
Nobody has any idea. Even the people that make this test, there's a very strong probability with that they don't even know what these mean.
So
You
for
know-
anybody on the podcast, we're looking at a soil test from Yard Mastery.
Okay, so
yep.
So this test, and I don't know how we've talked about this before on the show, and I'm not sure how frequently you tune in and everything. And listen, we're
Every
not
week,
here to
every day.
hate. Every week, every day. We love you too, man. We're not here to hate. We are not here to do any of that kind of stuff. And sometimes it gets looked at this way. However, this soil test, in any like it, that JP, can you flip to the other side? Can you flip to the bar graph portion for me for just a second? And I'd like to say a little bit about this real quick. Okay.
So
Number
this
one.
bar graph is not the right bar graph. It would be the other bar graph.
That's okay. There we go. Look at this. This guy,
Man, you are on top of it.
Emmy-winning stuff right here. He's gonna mute my mic if I don't. Oh, I got you, bitch. All right. So, okay. So, a couple of things. Don't ever worry about the bar graph. The bar graph is there to give you a graphical representation. I could have my beautiful daughter do a finger painting in this portion of the soil test, and it might mean more than what this bar graph does. She does beautiful finger paintings, by the way. So, all right.
I would love her finger paintings way over this. This bar graph is terrible.
The other part here is any fertilizer test that suggests specific products. You got to be a little bit careful about that. Now, if it's a particular soil test from an accredited lab and it's connected in some way, shape, or form to a product provider, I give that a little bit more credence because some labs will partner right with manufacturers and say, hey, yeah, we want good soil and lab results, right? But we need to, show what we could provide right in that space. I'm a little bit leery of those, but I'm very leery of this because of the lack of correlation and lack of data. So, like, again, we can go back to the data real quick, J Pink. Emmy.
And he has the right one. I'm so impressed.
Okay, I was gonna say I was kind of guessing there was 50-50 chance.
So. 50-50 shot, yeah. He got a 34 in his ACT literally by choosing C on every single choice. That's what he did.
And
he actually wrote the letter C 4,000 times for his essay and written portion. Still got the 34. It's amazing. He's that good.
And I gotta highlight one more thing. You see this 6.65 pH?
Yes.
Don't you believe it?
It's perfect, isn't
well,
it?
and tell him why. Tell him why.
Okay. The reason why I don't believe it is because there have been many times when we've had people show us these tests done by this company.
Yep.
And then they get another soil test done at a reputable lab that meets Ryan DeMay's standards. And
fucking high.
Yep. And what happens is when it gets tested at a proper lab, the pH is often off by at least a half a point. At least, if not more.
I can believe it.
And
I think this is high.
And do you know? And do you know why I don't believe these pH values? It's because if somebody's calcium levels detectable calcium are as high as yours are,
Yep.
it is very hard for pH to be low. It's extremely hard.
Yeah, and
Unless
that's
somebody,
go ahead.
yeah, yeah, unless somebody has been throwing down bags and bags and bags of gypsum, it's very difficult for calcium to be high and pH to be under 7. It's hard to do that.
I will say, yeah, I'm not an expert and I haven't seen everything and all that, all those disclaimers, but I've never seen that. Never seen that
So-
situation.
You've never seen
for
it?
Sure.
You've never seen it happen, right, Ryan?
No, I mean, and I'm not like calling. I'm just saying. Okay, so we're trying to take it on face value. So here is what I can tell you. In looking at the test and trying to make sense of what's here, right? Because we don't have a whole lot to go on. And let me kind of round this out to give you a little bit of perspective here. Is okay. If we are using a reputable lab and we are using ground tested data, right, that we have extractants, right, that we use for the soil that give us repeatable values, right, for that soil, we can then take those values and say, okay, hey, Ray, we're at 25 parts per million with a Malic 3 extractant on our phosphorus. Well, we know that that's on the lower end of the scale, but we can still grow pretty good turf at 25 parts per million. Some people might want to go a little bit higher and give a bigger buffer, right, Ray?
Yeah, it
And
depends on
some
the
people-
situation.
It depends on pH, depends on a number of different factors. Here, 5 to 11. 5 to 11 what? 5 to 11, like you just asked, Sparky.
Yep.
5 to 11 parts per million, 5 to 11 parts per billion, 5 to 11 finger puppets.
It might as well be finger puppets, to be honest.
Yeah, sock puppets. Where did they go? I don't know. Too many. I'll tell you what.
Matt,
It's all the what.
That's what Matt's doing in his truck right now. He's got finger puppets. He's pretending you guys are there with him.
Maybe I think I would and I would tell this to Matt too, and he's a conspiracy theorist like me. He would agree that it's probably all the foot fetish people that have stolen the dirty socks, and we can no longer play with sock puppets. So shame on you, foot fetish people. But back to the soil test. So I think what we're trying to do here is create a picture from something we don't have a really good data set on, but we can look at some trends and things like that and try to figure out what's going on here. So all that being said is tell us about, based on this and, from the back end of last year, so let's just say from September on, like before you did the soil test on into this particular spring, what fertilizers and rates have you put down, in that last, say, let me think here, 8.5 months, 9 months, something like that?
Yep. So right after I got the soil test back, I saw my phosphorus was low. Put a starter fert out. I would say the Yard Mastery app is great for journaling what you did.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to write it down or anything like that, it's great. It's a great way to journal it. It has it in there. There may even be a screenshot of what I did last year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Not that I got.
Okay,
Ooh.
not a problem. So I had a starter fert.
Give me
Hey, look at
dates,
that.
I got
dude.
those,
Give me dates.
but I didn't get any of the others.
Oh wow, that's a
Yeah.
beautiful view, man. Beautiful view.
Yeah. The college is nearby.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
I can feel that weather in that picture. I feel
Oh, yeah.
that's good. Yeah. It's hoodie and a bonfire and,
yeah,
peeing
buddy.
on the fire peeing on the fire after you drank your 8th beer because you don't want to go too far and trip.
I don't
We've
make
all
it much
been there.
past the first one, Ryan.
Yeah, hey. It's a bad news when you wet your pants at that bonfire. That's when you throw the chair in the fire and go to bed. Just change your clothes and start again the next day. But okay, so the starter app. What day was that, and what rate was that? Do you have that information?
Hold on, let me open up the app. I
Yeah.
have no idea. But
Sir,
like I
have you
said,
tried to turn it off and turn it back on?
Is that an IT joke? Stop it.
Yes, it is.
So at the end of last year, I did a starter fert, 9/26/21. Soil temp was 60 degrees.
Okay.
So I did 18/24/6.
Okay.
Pretty good.
And that's at 3
There was
pounds per thousand.
uh,
Aren't all those rates 3
see.
pounds per thousand? I think.
It must be whatever the rate
Okay.
is on the bag. It's a Tractor Supply bag. I got it for $10. I'm
Hmm.
sorry. I'm sorry, Ray.
You
Sorry.
overpay. You overpay. No, there's
No,
nothing, dude. There's
no,
nothing wrong with
actually, you know what? I am not offended or upset by less
And I
expensive
grabbed an extra
fertilizers.
bag.
No, I'm not upset or offended because, as you know, my favorite go-to fertilizer when it fits the bill is inexpensive 111.
That's right.
Not a lawn fertilizer, not some fancy do-all be-all last the entire growing season, fertilizer. No, I just want regular immediate release 111. And prior to this year, that was not an expensive product. That was
Oh yeah.
that was not terrible.
Literally, the basic bitch Ugg boot Starbuck drinking 111 here is now
Mhm.
more than double the price. Than it
Oh
was
yeah,
this
I
time
saw the
last year.
prices, man. I grabbed an extra bag last year because you guys said the prices were going to be going up. You listen to this. You
There.
listen to this. These guys, they'll
Right
tell you the
there.
news.
Right there.
Mhm.
That's everything you need to know. My router isn't working. Have you tried shitting on the carpet? What?
What?
Sir, I'm just trying to do my job. It's right there. I love that one. Every time I need a quick pick me up, I look at that. So, okay. Let's dive back into here. So, we had the starter fertilizer app on 9/26. Anything else the rest of the year?
I did my winterizer app, which RK recommends your last winter app to be around October because you only get
Yep.
70% of that available nutrients, I believe, or something like that. I can't remember.
A little less than that at that point, but yeah, go on.
Yeah.
Go on. How
It
much
was
was,
October
what was that?
22nd. It was
Uh-huh.
2406, and it was
Uh-huh.
it had the slow release in it
Uh-huh.
to get it through the winter. And then that was it.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't actually put this in here.
Uh-oh.
I stupidly
Don't add the adjective, the adverb there until we decide, okay?
Are you ready for this? I watched
Let's
How
see.
to with Doc. If nobody knows where he is in the South. He is growing Bermuda grass, which he
Trying to
recommended
anyway.
at the time. He recommended at the time. I know. I did a prodiamine application, 007, at the end of last year. I don't know when it was because I didn't write it down. It's not on here. But I'm guessing most of it leached. Most of it leached away. It was I think it was in November. There was still no snow.
Okay. Now
I was
take
stopping
me into
those
this
winter
year.
weeds.
Stopping something. Yeah. Stopping something. There's the good news is there's no crabgrass in the aquifer this year, and we're all set. All right. Now
there was no crabgrass in the middle of summer either, really.
Well,
I don't have a crabgrass issue.
I was gonna say the
really
climate up there and your height cut will dictate much of your crabgrass pressure or lack thereof. All right, take me into this year, and let's talk about so winter really didn't break for you until you said last month, April. So in the last 2 months, excuse me,
we
6
we
weeks,
had all
whatever.
60 inches of snow.
Okay, so have you put anything down on the lawn yet?
Yeah, so I did a foliar application, my first ever foliar application from RK Lawn Supply Company, with an 18-18-18.
Mm-hmm.
I did 0.72 ounces per thousand. Did that do anything? Maybe. Might have woke it up. It was in the soil temp was 42. It was April 7th.
So that was 0.72 dry ounces, right? So let's do the math on
I did a
that.
calculation to get the 0.72 because on the thing it recommended 4 ounces per thousand.
So why the
So
super low rate? Or am
just
I
to wake it
missing
up.
something?
Just to wake it up, I wanted to do more. I didn't know how quickly I was gonna go through 4 gallons on the entire lawn, and I went through it took me I must have been walking like crazy because I did the entire 22,000 square feet with, 16 ounces of 18, 18, 18.
So with 1 pound of 18, 18, 18, 16 dry ounces.
Yeah, it basically, yep.
Okay. Okay. So we
In 4
had, let's do the
gallons,
math.
so
Right.
it's
So
16
4
divided by
gallons.
22, basically,
Yep.
right?
16 divided by 22, and then 4 gallons to
0.72.
cover 22. So you're spraying at about 0.18 gallons per thousand, which is kind of low. Okay. So there's a couple things to talk about. So
Did my math wrong.
here, no, you're fine. Your math is actually right. So okay, here's a few things to talk about. All right, and let's break this down. Here with the time we have left is, I think what would be helpful to talk about would be how to build a fertilizer program that's going to work best for you while incorporating the products that you like to use based on cost, availability, your
Close.
loyalties. Everybody's got brand loyalties and things like that. So that being said, a couple of things that I heard as you went through that, right? And I'm not being critical. I want you to take this as, hey, you've spit it out. Like if I was gonna ask for IT help, which I could use all day long, I would
Yep.
trust that you would be, hey, here's what you need to do. So all right, so a few things on the starter app. I don't think there's anything wrong with that based on that soil test. Again, trust it and take it with a grain of salt. I
Yeah.
would highly recommend that
That last
you
soil
try
test
to
was
get.
garbage.
Well, it just there's not a lot that we can glean from it and then apply, right? We're just left to take their recommendations and word for, number one, how those results correlate to what a acceptable or target value is, and then we're also given the products to apply that fit within that mold, right? And so, I think everybody here, and I'll speak for Matt even to say that we're not keen on that test really at all. So my advice there would be, number one is to get a soil test through a reputable lab. These are available through Waypoint, through Spectrum Analytic. Who else am I missing, Ray? Those are the two big ones that I commonly use. Those are
Midwest
good places
Labs.
to start. Midwest Labs.
Midwest
There you go.
Labs, and isn't there like a Logan lab?
Logan's okay. I would stick. There's nothing wrong with them, but they're easy to get in and out of too. So any of those ones are fine. Midwest Labs, though, choosy moms choose best, and John Pickerton's mom chooses Midwest Labs. So take that for
Is
what it's
there
worth.
is there a website where I can find a close by waypoint or find one of these labs that are close by and grab
You don't
something to get a
really.
sample?
You don't need anything to get a sample. So let's, Ray, if you could real quickly describe how Sparky can pick himself up a sample and do it without having any of those special tools, gadgets, gizmos, or all the other
Actually
things
did
that the
get
cool
one.
kids are using. Oh shit. Well,
You actually did.
what,
get
you got
one.
a little
Never
probe?
mind.
You got a little half-inch probe?
Yeah, from Yard Mastery. It sucks. Don't buy it.
All right. No,
Okay,
do what
okay.
you want.
Okay. Well, step one: put on some disposable gloves when you're handling soil. And the reason why you do this is because the oils and salts present on your fingers will throw off the actual test results. So minimize contamination of the sample. Step two, when you are sampling soil for turf grass, try to stick to a consistent soil sampling depth of, say, 4 inches. So drive that probe down 4 inches and get a 4-inch plug of soil. And of course, take away the very top of that plug that contains all of your grass and your thatch and your grass, clippings. And other thing that I would probably suggest is think about whether you just want a general sample, and in that case you just randomly go all throughout the yard and pick what pick spots and take samples and then aggregate the sample. Or if you have areas that are a definite issue or problem for you, then you segregate those areas and you take samples from your problem child area and you
The chat here, and that way you can watch. And our hero Ryan Orr has a good video on how to do this and get started with it. So,
All his videos.
so anyway, hey, don't encourage him. All right, no, I'm kidding.
and
all right, so we've got our soil test, and that's going to be a key thing. Now, the results that you get right now, I think would be important to do before you make any granular applications. The application that you just made is really not going to skew your results in any way, shape, or form. Appreciably,
I made another application.
Oh, what did you do?
Well, I did the built for seeding. I did the mesotrione application.
Oh, what is that? It's like high P or something like that, right? I can't remember what the
isn't
analysis
there like
is
a
on.
22, 24,
2 or something like that, or 5?
or something
Yeah,
like
yeah, 4.
5, and
Yeah,
then
something like that. Yeah.
and then they have enough mesotrione in there to be equal to, I believe, the 8 ounce per
5 ounce.
acre rate.
Oh,
5 ounce, just 5.
Yeah,
Or-
because after that you're gonna squirt some shit. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
so
telling
they
you right now,
gotta
it's-
keep it. They gotta keep it
smoked.
down then.
It
Yeah.
smokes some
Smoke
stuff.
stuff.
Smoke.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Well, I don't take mesotrione lightly
Yeah,
because
I
it
was
is kind of
surprised.
it is kind of a powerful product. Well, wait till you see that applied as a liquid spray and in combination with certain herbicides. Then that gets fun.
Yeah,
I
you could
I
have.
actually bought some. I have
Okay.
my own liquid application of it, so I'm ready to go. I got some triclopyr and I've got some Fiesta. If I want to spike it a little bit, add a little iron.
Actually,
Um,
don't.
Ooh, yeah,
don't.
don't do those. So,
Don't
what'd
do
you get the
that.
Fiesta? What'd you get the Fiesta for? I'm just curious, real quick.
So originally I started out with some more organic, more natural applications, and
Mhm.
that's what happened to the triclopyr, or to the the creeping Charlie. That's what happened to the creeping Charlie in that one photo earlier. I
Oh, that
smoked
was
it.
the Fiesta.
It was Fiesta. Well, actually, I just took some chelated iron,
Mhm.
added some salts, which is terrible for your lawn. Don't do that.
Wait, what did you?
Um,
What kind of salts did you add?
non-iodinized salt, so
Wow.
not table salt.
We're
Well, that's still no good because
Yeah.
that is just giving the lawn a stroke, essentially. Sodium.
Everything was dead. Everything was dead. By the time I did my
Oh,
4th
man.
application, it was all dead. Most of the grass was dead
Oh,
too.
man. Yeah, because I gotta tell you, what I know about Kentucky bluegrass and rye and fescue is that those grasses don't do well with too much sodium. They just are not into it. I mean, if
Yep.
you told me you were salting a Bermuda lawn or a zoysia lawn, I'd say you'd have a chance.
Okay.
yeah, cool
Because
season
those
grass.
grasses are so.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you
The-
see, they don't do salt. I mean, because warm season grasses, on the other hand, are beachfront. Think Florida and Hawaii. So, they can deal. But then please don't give your Kentucky bluegrass salt. I don't care if it's non-iodinized.
Luckily, I
Yeah.
reseeded after this, so it all came in,
Yeah.
and we're all good now. But at the time,
Mhm.
I did some market blue, and I saved some of that grass at the top of the screen, because I was able to see where
Mhm.
I was spraying.
Okay.
s-
Okay.
That
So let's go back to the fertilizer thing for a second. So again, so on the fertility piece,
growing out of control too.
the
By the way, my grass, I just mowed it last night, and I mowed it like 4 days ago. Telling you right now that
That's
that
okay.
nitrogen is pumping right now, especially with that 80-degree weather we just had. Man, the grass is growing like nobody's business.
Well, and I'm gonna go ahead and say that but when did you do that Scott's application?
I did it last. Oh no, I did it April 24th. Soil temp was 50.
Yep. So yeah, it's often running there. So a couple of things then. So on that last app, the winterizer app, I heard you say that that 50% will carry it through the winter. You don't need that because at that point, remember, the grass is not really utilizing those nutrients necessarily in the way of it's producing sugars. It's not photosynthesizing, right? So at that time of year, right, you're pushing more root growth towards the end of the year as top growth ceases, and then kind of most physiological processes cease. Now, through the wintertime, obviously the plant still needs to keep itself alive, so it is still consuming, right, the carbohydrate reserves that it's pushed down into roots, and that's where you get that root growth from. So that 50% of extra nutrients, it doesn't really go anywhere except for it's
Down the drain?
down the drain, yeah, because that particular product there, in the way that it is all put together, is basically through water loss. It has nothing to do with microbial activity, soil temperatures, anything like that. It strictly has to do with soil moisture, and so that's all going to go away. You'll see different people do tests in buckets and swish it around and say, hey, look, it's still here after I shake it up in a bucket or a martini glass or something like that. But I can assure you that it's not the best thing to do. So in that case, that's an opportunity to use some of that, I don't want to say cheap, less expensive fertilizer that you're able to pick up at some of these big box stores and things like that. So the Scott's Lawn Food stuff, wherever you choose the shop,
$1. $1 for
$1.
5,000. The small bag for 5,000 square feet. It was the Expert Garden 24, 25 for $1. Can't beat it.
Hey, you know what? Again, I don't get all snobby about inexpensive fertilizers because if it provides the nitrogen, the phosphorus, potassium, whatever you need, that's what you need. You don't need part of the cost of the bag to be some clown on YouTube telling you that you need to buy this stuff. Okay, that shouldn't be the part of the cost of the bag. Seriously, just saying.
No, I
So,
agree.
and I can tell you one more thing. Here's a good one to find if you can get a hold of it in Walmart or Lowe's or whatever. See if you can get a hold of some 2100 ammonium sulfate.
Won't that lower the pH though?
It will, but not
In your
appreciably.
ca-
And you're really not. You're in the go zone. Well,
Okay.
you could be. Plus, did you mention that, Ray? I can't remember about the MySoil test that you could be plus or minus
Okay.
half a point.
Yep,
So
it's half a
Okay,
point.
and
It's high by half a point. I did a soil probe and it is high. Their
you're at
test
like
is high.
6. You're at 6. You think?
6.5 now. Is that because my new soil test has me at 7?
That's go zone, man. You're
Yeah.
You're in great shape.
Okay,
you don't
you
need
know
to worry
what?
about that.
If your MySoil test says that you're at about 7, in real life, a lot of people that have a 7 soil pH actually are playing with 7.5. And in that case, if I had 7.5 soil, I would be throwing 2100 anytime I needed nitrogen. And the time that I would be doing it on a cool season lawn would be the last 2 to 3 fertilizer applications before the lawn goes dormant in the fall. And you know what's good about that kind of an application? The
It
grass
brings it out.
No, the grass picks it up immediately, uses all of it, incorporates it all into its tissues, and then it's no longer in the environment.
Huh. That's
You
impressive.
see, 2100 is not some magical slow release fertilizer. It is an immediate release source of nitrogen that has a very high efficiency of utilization. So you put down, say, 2.5 to 3 pounds of ammonium sulfate or 2100 per 1,000 square foot, and you do that 2 or 3 times before the grass finally goes dormant, come spring, you probably won't need to apply any kind of nitrogen fertilizer to the lawn because the grass will wake up when it warms up and absolutely be ready to go.
How do you feel about a calcium nitrate in the fall?
Whoa!
If I'm worried about pH,
Okay, calcium nitrate is good. However, I don't
if you're
think you
building
need
bio.
it. No, I don't think you need it because the one thing that I know about a my soil test is that if my soil detects high levels of calcium, you probably have more than enough calcium. Okay, and calcium nitrate is something that I will swap out for a 2100 application on soils that verifiably are acid.
Okay.
But
So like a
you are
5 or something
not
like that?
like a 5, exactly. Like if somebody comes to me with a 5 or a 5.5 soil and it's verified by a reputable lab like Spectrum or Waypoint, then I swap out all their N for cal nitrate. And by the way, cal nitrate is kind of an expensive application.
Yeah, I
Should
looked it
know.
up. It's super expensive.
Yeah, because like for me, I get calcium nitrate wholesale, and it
By
is
the pellet?
about $35 for 50 pounds.
Yeah,
About
that sounds about
35 or
right.
$40 yeah, and so I would avoid it unless I totally needed it. And additionally, if your soil is already high calcium and alkaline, it actually operates in reverse and you don't derive a benefit from it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so in other words, I'm telling you, only do what you absolutely need to do.
Okay. So, I do want to touch on my summer application. So like my August application of like a
Mm-hmm.
prodiamine or a dithiopyr or like a pre-emergent of POA. Can
Sure.
I do
Mhm.
can I do so the bags at Lowe's, they sell a prodiamine application. I think it's made for 18,000 square feet, something like that. And then there's a
Uh-huh.
dithiopyr application of 3005. It's dimension.
Mm-hmm.
I think it says 0.21%, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It says on the back. You probably find it. It's like $60 or $70. Can I apply both on my 22,000 square feet and get a appreciable effect on pre-emergent of POA? Or
Why apply
should I
both?
do?
Just
Or
curious.
should I buy two things of prodiamine? Or
Oh, just to stretch out your because it's 18,000 square feet and you got 20 or 22. Is that the question?
right, 22. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Um,
Or should I try to
I
like put like a quarter of a bag in for the last app? For the last round. I'll have
so
to be
I
like
would
Ryan
say
Nor and get
this.
one of those cups where you measure it and put it on a scale and
You should spray it. That's what I was just about to say. I'd spray it.
Yeah,
but it's
I
it's
mean,
it's
I'd
getting
get
high though.
really
It's
good.
it's like
What's getting
90
high?
$90 a what is it, a 5 gallon or something like that? Two
Oh no
gallon?
no 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 no! Hang on, hang
no.
on, hang on.
No?
Wait a minute.
Let me get you some.
And let me just kind of explain something to you about that 5 pound bag or bottle of prodiamine WDG.
Yep.
For most cool season lawns, that 5 pound package represents anywhere from 5 to 7.5 acres worth of applications. So I don't get upset about
Okay.
a high initial purchase price.
Yep.
Because here's the thing about prodiamine water dispersible granules. You keep it in your basement, out of the sun, out of the, changes in temperature and whatever. You can keep that and use that for years. It
I'm
doesn't go
gonna go a
bad.
step. I'm gonna go a step further because I'll tell you what, I hate prodiamine WDG and mixing it up in small quantities in a backpack sprayer. You know where my head's going, Ray? And it's not cheap, but
Yeah.
prodiamine. I would go with prodiamine liquid. The
Yes,
4L
I was looking at that. It's
formulation.
not cheap.
Okay. Well,
Well,
here's the
it's
thing
not
about-
cheap. Let's go ahead. Okay, go ahead, Ray.
It's certainly not
Do the math
expensive
for
though.
you.
But here's my little beef with prodiamine
about it?
SC. Okay, what I know about prodiamine SC is that upon storage, right? Once you open
Yeah.
the bottle or whatever, or even if you stored it for a while,
Yep.
then I have issues with the product falling out of suspension and having all of these chunks and flakes that don't want to go into suspension versus if I have the WDG, a little bit of
Mhm.
mixing puts it in suspension and I'm good to go. I've never had issues with WDG products. I've had a lot of issues with products that come to me in a gallon or 2.5 gallon jug already like turned into an orange milkshake, for example.
Yep.
I've had trouble. So
Have you
because
when it turns into that milkshake, can you mix it back or is that just not possible?
the problem is that when it turns into that comes out of suspension, it turns into these flakes and chunks that
Like crystallizes?
it crystallizes exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. Versus a WDG, okay, be a man and put it in the tank and shake it until it goes into suspension. All right? I'm just saying.
I've not had as many issues with that, and given the size of his lawn, if he is doing 2 apps a year, that's only 4 years at the label rate, the low label rate. That's at the 16 fluid ounce per acre rate. You could go as high as probably in his area, 24 ounce rate. And forgive me for not doing the AI calculations here in my head, but yeah, you could. You're talking. Well, what's it come out to here? It was like 340 is what I saw, and let's just say that you get 6 applications out of that. $56 an app on a half an acre. That's not bad. $2.10, $2.20 a thousand. I could live with that if I had
I
to.
must say I'm pretty happy
So-
with the 22,000 square feet. The rest is woods. So I actually live on an
Woods.
acre, but
Sparky wood in the woods. I like it. It sounds like a country music festival thing.
where's RK? Come on, bring him in the chat.
I don't know. He's somewhere. He's buying beer for this weekend. Is what he's doing.
Keystone, I would assume.
Oh, totally. So,
best.
yeah, absolutely one of the best. Okay, so I would just say that pick one of those and stick with it, and yeah, you're gonna have a little bit left over because of the bag sizing, things like that. You don't have to buy the professional supply houses in your area and try to find out what they have in stock, and then maybe you have an opportunity to buy something that might fit your both budget and size of lawn just a little bit better. So I encourage you to do that. What other questions? We're getting close on time here, so I want to make sure that if you have any things you want to touch on here before we get out of here and go to the after show. Just anything else you want to talk about?
Man, I think I've just about ran out of things to talk about after almost
Oh
2
man, well for
hours.
right now, for right now, listen, hey, the opportunity to come back on will certainly present itself. I have no doubt about that, and I think it's one of those things where we could tell you're eager, we could tell that you're excited about it, and I think the big things, the big takeaways, I would say, is just continue. Eric, I love you so much. I love you so much.
Eric is a naughty, naughty man.
Yeah. For those on the podcast, something came across our screens that we can't repeat.
I'll say it. What is? Wait, let me go back and read it. I want to make sure I read it in. Derek would read it with such more bravado, but I will just read it monotone. He gave $20 and said, "I want to blast those finger legs." So, me too, Derek. All right. Listen, I would just say this is that probably I understand the weed concerns and I understand messing around with the products. I think the couple of things, if I were you, what I would work on is really try to hone in on the basics, right? And I don't mean that to say that
Well, it's only my first year, really.
So a couple things that I would recommend that you do. Number one is if you have the means and the time and the desire to read and learn, if you're that kind of person, I would start with going to www.turfpath.com/book, and I get absolutely $0 for this, but Al Turgeon and his compatriot John Kaminsky have wrote a fantastic text. It's a great primer on everything that goes into the science, the maintenance, the art of turfgrass management, and I think it's a great place to start. So I would highly encourage you to jump in on that. That's going to give you a lot of basics relative to the physiology of the plants that we're growing, the stresses that they undergo, how to combat some of that kind of stuff, the why of what is happening. It's always good when somebody explains the why to you. And the other things there too, I think that I would focus in on is fertilizer and fertility programming and understanding the why, when, and how of that piece. That's going to be really, really important so that you're just not, why am I picking the product I'm picking, right? And how does it fit in? Because there's always going to go ahead.
But RD, I've watched enough of Ryan Orr. I know everything.
Oh, listen, nobody knows everything. Ray, I know you're being facetious. I know you're joking around, but man, it is something else. And Ray could tell you the same thing. I know that's one thing that I think separates us. And I'll go ahead and I'll brag for a minute. I don't really care. So if you're listening and you don't like what I have to say, well, kiss my ass. But I think we're very each of us, Ray, Matt, myself, are all very egotistical in our own way, very confident in our own way. But
I mean, I would be too if I made a Bermuda grass, football field. It looks great, man.
I appreciate that, but at the same time, I think we're all very humble and realize that the minute you think you have this all figured out, and I know this goes for any industry, and we don't know anything other than this because, again, we're degenerates, and this is the space that we live in, and we can't get out of. It's our livelihood, it's our hobby, it's our lifestyle, and the minute you think you have it all figured out is when it rolls you and makes you look really bad. So I think that's the number one thing that separates us is like just constantly learning. So I would encourage you to constantly be learning and finding new ways to level up, right? So I think the fertility piece will be an important thing for you of learning that. And the other thing with respect to the weeds is whether it's weeds, diseases, insects, is pick the one thing that is the baddest MFer on the block for you and learn how to deal with that effectively and learn the ins and outs of it effectively. Other stuff will come and the other stuff will go, but especially in your climate, if you can pick the worst one, the worst disease, the worst insect, the worst weed, and deal with those and learn about how to eradicate those and how to deal with those and manage around the cyclical nature of those seasons, the cyclical nature of their life cycles, all that kind of stuff, you will be much better off. So those are my homework assignments for you. Other than that, I want to thank you. I want to thank your family, your cohorts, your compatriots. We had a lot of tickets you had to leave at will call to get into this thing so that people could watch. And, next time maybe we'll get a luxury suite. We got, I don't know, Ray, maybe we'll have a luxury suite.
Can I get into Arrowhead
VIP.
Stadium?
We can get to Arrowhead, So Ray is probably going to go so he can satisfy Sheila. He's probably going to have to go into the locker room after the game and raid the dirty socks, and make this all happen because ain't no stinky socks like Sparky socks, baby. So I told you I'd get Sparky in there somehow. So ladies and gentlemen, with that, we're going to the after show. We love you. Thank you so much. Thank you to Sparky. Ray, thank you. I love you. Matt, well, I'll see you later.
Yeah.